Hi there friends, always good to greet you in this way. You'll know over recent days that Winston Merritt has talked a lot about Nehemiah chapter 4, the rebuilding of the walls, and how it represents a little what we're going through now, and the focus sometimes on the rubble rather than that rebuilding. And in Nehemiah chapter 4 we have this wonderful story of Nehemiah who wept over the state of the city. He longed for the days when the city would be rebuilt, that the land would be back to the people who rightfully owned it. And so he began to do what God asked him to do. Now Sanballat was there. He was a deadly rival of Jerusalem. He was the governor of Samaria. And so there was opposition to the rebuilding. There was ridicule, there was anger, there was sarcasm. And he really didn't want it to go ahead. He wanted it to fail. So what did Nehemiah do? Of course, he turns to his God. He prays, he believes, he asks God to do what is required. And so they start to rebuild. It says in the passage that the people worked with all their hearts. Their minds and hearts are set to the task. So there are plots, everything's stirred up, the trouble. And on both sides, people were genuinely afraid. What was going to happen to us? Would it be okay? Would it work out as expected? So they posted people to the exposed parts of the wall. They had the families there with swords and spears and bows. And Nehemiah reminded them, don't be afraid, God is with us. Well, God frustrated that plotting and planning against them, and the wall continued to be built. Now this is what they did. They would come with weapons in one hand and tools in the other as they built. And when the trumpet sounded, they would all go to that part of the wall, they would join with the others and realise that their God was with them, that He would fight for them. So they stayed vigilant. Now someone said this to me just recently, and it really resonated, that no ground is taken uncontested. And I want us to think about that in these days. That wall sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? That rubble sounds a little familiar. And God is asking us in these days to start building, to build on in the kingdom of God, to do what He has called us to do. The sword in one hand, the tools in the other. It's a battle, friends. It's a battle in these days as we see Australia transformed one life at a time with the love of Jesus. It's a battle as we rebuild systems, as we rebuild trust, as we come together to be the Salvation Army that God has called us to be. Now, wouldn't we expect that? No ground will be taken uncontested. Sometimes the battle was with the people in the city. Sometimes it was against the enemy. But our God wins. No ground will be taken uncontested. So get ready, people of God. We need to pray. We need to pray like never before. We need to depend on God like never before. But keep building. Keep your eyes high. Realise we have an amazing God. That's His plan. Get your eyes off the rubble. There is some, there's no doubt about that. Sword in one hand, tools in the other. We're going to build that wall. Bless you.